The Charlottesville clashes certainly highlight some of the growing racial divides creeping their way across the United States and much of the Western world. Well, here to talk about what's been going on and, more importantly, what we can do about it is Dr. Elana Heideman, the Executive Director of the Israel Forever Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So you've been tracking anti-Semitism for a very long time. Historically, under what conditions are anti-Semitic trends and attitudes most prevalent?
It's very easy during times of social, economic, and political upheaval for people to glom on to certain social trends, and anti-Semitism becomes a wave underneath them. So that when there are political shifts, and when there is economic strife, and when there are frictions that are already in existence between different social factions. This gives a great platform for people to voice their resentment, hatred, jealousy, and other emotions.
So speaking of platforms, I mean, in what way do you think anti-Semitism and other racially extreme ideas that we clearly saw represented in Charlottesville have been affected under the Trump presidency more specifically?
I think that this presidency has simply cast aside the need for political correctness and enabled people to voice their deep-seated opinions. Some of those deep-seated opinions might come from the right, they might come from the left, but in general, we are seeing a rise in hateful expressions. Some of those hateful expressions are couched within justice causes, and yet underneath they bear a lot of similarities one to the other of a hatred against Jews, a resentment against Jews.
Now, what other glaring cases of anti-Semitism have you seen, I guess, of this level, of what we saw at Charlottesville take place in the past couple of years?
I think that Charlottesville is a very unique instance in that it gained mainstream media attention. However, we have had KKK rallies and even on the alt-left rallies where Jews are being extracted from them because of the Star of David being shown. So whereas there's no moral equivalency between the two, it's important to recognize where patterns of similarity that we can expose and then act upon.
My question for you is, what can we do about this? How do we deal with this?
I think the most important thing that we can do is, as a Jewish community, we can unite in our voices and put aside our differences, especially our political or partisan differences, and come up with forms of action that can enact policy to minimize the effects of white supremacist actions and also other streams of anti-Semitism. The more that we create petitions, the more that we come up with our own legislative actions, the more we examine legal recourse options, then the greater good that we can do for our own sake. I think more importantly, we also must be more avidly involved in the education, not only of campus, those on campus who are facing other extremists like the BDS campaigns, but also those in high school, those who are simply unaware of how this affects them.
Well, I think a lot of people actually were not very aware of how this affects them until Charlottesville and these rallies took place. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and let's hope for the best, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.